Please rise for the Ottoman Empire National Anthem.
My fellow Otterkins, I call on you today for the glory of the great Ottoman Empire to convert this man, Uncle Pudge, also known as Pudge TV, to the Ottoman cause of bringing fishes and freedoms to every single otter across the globe. You are incredibly crucial to this mission, and if you're wondering how you can help us succeed, you go down in the description below of this video. Click both links that are available. The first link will be for Aircon and TV Gaming on rumble.com. You will click that follow button as soon as you get there if you're not already followed. The second link would take you to a donation page for StackUp.org, an organization bent on putting an end to veteran suicide and the power of gaming and geek and nerd culture. This is not just for U.S. veterans. This is not just for Otter veterans, but this is for the allies of the United States as well. If you can get the gaming channel up to 500 followers and that donation link to $200 before June 27th, 2024, we will use the power of AI to convert Uncle Pudge to Uncle Otter. This is the desperate time of need. This is 0 hour. We're using Project Uncle Otter to achieve this goal. If you're going to answer the call, please do so by clicking the links down below. And if you're unable to donate, you can also still help the great Ottoman Empire by sharing the link for the donation link to StackUp.org. If you have any questions, reach out to your mission commanders and receive the debriefs. I'll see you Otters on the battlefield.
A well-regulated militia being necessary for the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Broadcasting from the Ottoman Empire with 50,000 gigawatts of power, this is the Freedom Otter Show.
Monday. Yes, it's Monday, May 6th, 2024. Another week has begun, but that's okay. That's all right. I'm here, your Uncle Otter. It's going to be okay. Everything's going to be just fine. How you doing tonight? And make sure you like, share, follow the channel, subscribe if you're so inclined. Check out the show notes. Got a link to our Discord, our 2A community. You can head on down there. You can join it. While you're down there, leave some comments about the show tonight after we're done, or even while we're doing the show. Either way, doesn't matter. And remember, we got a merch store, so you're going to want to go ahead and check that out as well. OttomanEmpire.creator-spring.com. Everything you buy there helps support not only this show, but the Ottoman Gaming Empire gaming channel for content, subscription, the whole 9 yards. So go check it out. See if there's something you like. I'm betting there is. OttomanEmpire.creator-spring.com. How's it going tonight? Your Uncle Freedom Otter. Hope you're doing good. Beginning of the week, as you saw at the beginning of the show, we had Airconda Gaming TV on. Make sure you head on over to his Rumble channel. He's got that video up, but he's also got details on getting his followers up to 500 and helping to donate to stackup.org. Go check it out over at Airconda Gaming TV. That's over on Rumble. So let him know Freedom Otter sent you, okay? So what can I say? What can I say? It's a Monday. Here in upstate New York, the weather took a turn. I mean, the weekend was quite nice. It was very nice. And then all of a sudden, it just, down the tubes. We're supposed to, the wife and I were talking before I came into the studio, and she was looking at it. And, she said, we're looking at possibly 13 days of rain. I'm like, wait, what? What? That's nuts. That's nuts. I came into the studio. I talked to producer Badger and told him about it. And producer Badger said the same thing. What? But then he thought about it for a second. He said, I don't give a damn. Badger don't care. He's not like that. But anyway, producer Badger is, he's running the board tonight. So thanks, producer Badger, for being in here. And thank you for being in here as well. Make sure you like, share, and follow the show, because that's going to help motivate us to keep going and tell you stories like this one right here. This is a last minute entry. As soon as I came into the studio and I looked at it, and I looked over at producer Badger, and he was looking at me like, oh. So I threw this one in real quick. Judge tosses challenge to New York ammo background checks. Federal judge in New York has dismissed a challenge to the state's requirement that every ammunition sale go through a background check, citing a colonial Virginia statute barring Catholics from owning or possessing arms that he says demonstrates a national Oh, man. I can't. I national tradition of keeping guns from dangerous people. So the Catholics, they're bad people. We can't let them have guns. So that's in his ruling. Obama appointed U.S. Judge Frank P. Geraci Jr. agreed that ammunition should be considered arms that are protected by the language of the Second Amendment, but still found the law in question to be constitutional because it's meant to keep dangerous people from acquiring guns and ammunition. Okay. All right, let's see where Frankie goes with this. The government offers several historical examples of laws that were enacted to disarm dangerous individuals, but the court will discuss only one of the many analogs offered. In colonial Virginia, the legislature dictated that no Catholic shall or may have or keep in his house or elsewhere or in the possession of any other person to his use or to his disposition, I should say. Pretty dystopian still. Any arms, weapons, gunpowder, or ammunition, because it was determined that it is dangerous at this time to permit Catholics to be armed. So basically, Frankie here is saying, well, you know what? We're going to infringe your Second Amendment right because it was okay to discriminate against Catholics. Disclosure. I was born and raised Roman Catholic. Yeah. I go to a Methodist church right now, but that's only because my wife is a Baptist and we don't want to split it between the two. So we decided, and plus the church we're going to has an awesome Sunday school program. That's why we go to the church that we go to, and we don't go to the Roman Catholic parish or one of the Baptist churches here in the area. But no. Catholics, they're dangerous. Catholics are dangerous. Yeah, because the Pope wears a funny hat. What? Give me a break. Give me an effing break. This didn't SCOTUS say something about this? I saw this and I'm coming at this story cold, okay? I literally sat down here in the studio. I saw this and I said, oh, really? Okay. Well, I don't have enough time to kind of read it and go through it. So you know what? We'll do a cold read like we normally do, and we'll just go from there. Usually with the stories, I got a pretty good idea what it says because I give it a quick skim. This one, I just came into it cold, but holy. Presumably, Geraci chose to cite that specific statute because it's the closest fit to New York's ammo background check law, even though the two are far different in scope. The Virginia statute is more akin to modern laws prohibiting certain classes, convicted felons, and those adjudicated mental defects, for instance, from possessing firearms that no background check laws of any kind, and it would be grossly unconstitutional under both the First and Second Amendments. The statute, which was adopted in 1756, was fairly short-lived, and as attorneys Costas Moros and David Kopel previously noted in an amicus brief in the Rahimi case, it contained a critical exception, one that was completely ignored by the state of New York and Judge Geraci. Costas Moros was on the show just about a week and a half ago. It was great having him on. Had a great conversation, great show. And I remember this amicus brief. Yeah, this is bad. At the beginning of the French and Indian War in 1756, the royal governor of New Jersey, in defiance of the rights of the subjects, which are Protestant, confiscated firearms from Moravians, a Protestant pacifist denomination who owned hunting guns. The governor called the Moravians snakes and likely wanted their guns for the colony's militia. Johnson at 198. I'm not sure what that means, but okay. Also in 1756, Pennsylvania confiscated papist arms to distribute to the militia. The statute at large of Pennsylvania from 1862 to 1801. Okay, this is the citing, Tom's citing. Virginia did the same. If a person would not sign an oath, his arms would be taken, except those necessary for the defense of his house or person. Well, there you go. The Supreme Court has already cautioned judges about looking for support for modern gun control laws before the Second Amendment was ratified in 1791 or after the ratification of the 14th Amendment in 1868. But the date of the statute in question is just one of the problems with Geraci using it as the basis to uphold New York's ammo background checks. The statute itself allowed for Catholics to continue to own arms that were necessary for self-defense, unlike New York's ammo background check law, which subjects every buyer to undergo a check before they can purchase ammunition. The 1756 statute was essentially a wartime measure meant to suppress suspected supporters of the French government, but even the colonial legislature didn't prohibit Catholics from owning all arms. There's simply no connection between the state statute and New York's modern background check mandate. And if that's the best evidence that New York and Geraci could cite, it shows just how weak the defense of the law really is. And it is. You've got people going to Pennsylvania, or I'm even willing to bet they're going to Ohio if they're out in the western tier, closer to Buffalo and Jamestown. So they're either going to Ohio or they're going to Pennsylvania, and they are buying their ammo there. Or maybe they're on the southern tier, down by Binghamton and that. It's not that far to Scranton-Wilkes-Barre from Binghamton. I literally drove it at the beginning of April. But this is nuts. You can get around it. I mean, hell, I went on vacation to Virginia. I bought ammo when I was in Virginia. They never asked to see my ID or do a background check or anything like that. I just said, hey, you got any 9mm? Yeah, right over there. Grabbed a couple boxes, put it up on the counter. He said, is that all? I just want to look around. I'm from out of town. Oh, where are you from? I'm from New York. Oh, man. Yeah, the look on his face when I told him I was from New York, he was sad for me. He felt bad. He really did. And I just kind of wandered around. I was taking a look at stuff, seeing what else I could probably, get. What could I get past the wife's budget? That was it. It's like ham radio, How do you sneak a radio in past the wife? A new radio past the wife? Same thing. How do you sneak a bunch of ammo and some accessories past the wife when she's the one driving and picking you up later? Because we only had the one car, so she dropped me off, and daddy daycare. 2-way daycare. Here, go to the gun shop. We're gonna go get Starbucks, and we're gonna go look at some stuff, and we'll be back and get you. Okay, that's basically how it went. And I came back to New York. Nobody stopped me. Nobody asked me, did you buy ammo out of state? No. And the rumor is Tish James, Fat Tish, is going to try to sue. Is she going to sue some of the Pennsylvania gun shops that are selling to New Yorkers? For what? For what? Breaking New York law in Pennsylvania? Guess what? She could try it, but I'm willing to bet she get swatted down. And the precedent that would set, if the Pennsylvania AG didn't jump in on that, if she tried to do something like that, yeah. Still, this is knuck and futz. Totally crazy. Totally. Geraci also accepted at face value the assertion from the New York State Police that 98.6% of background checks are completed instantly and without delay, even though plaintiffs are attested to numerous attempts to purchase ammunition where they were denied because the system was down. Many gun store owners in the state say that delays are more common than not, and that many customers have simply decided to drive across the state line to buy ammo instead. That is true. Hello, I'm one of them. And I'm going to tell you a little story right now. I was at my local FFL, the one I like to visit, literally 10 minutes from the house. I went in there. I had the day off. I just wanted to do some window shopping. I went in, said, hey, guys, how's it going? How you doing? There was a couple other gentlemen there. Come to find out, they were New York State police officers. What were they doing? One of them was picking up a personal gun and buying ammunition. Guess what happened? He got delayed. A New York State police officer got delayed for his ammo background check. The gun went through fine because that goes through NICS. That goes through the feds. But New York State has decided that they are going to basically add just another layer to it. So the background check goes through the New York State Police, and then the New York State Police do a background check. I don't know how they do it. I guess they do it through NICS too. But last I knew, the FBI said that's a no-no. It's meant for firearms, not ammunition. So, that's what you get in New York State. They're trying to do it in California as well, I believe. And I think even Illinois. But needless to say, you can't use a discriminatory law to try to justify the abridgment of a constitutional right. This is basically the Second Circuit. This is the Second Circuit saying, screw you. We're in charge here. So SCOTUS definitely has to do something here. The biggest problem with the system is there's more delays than anything, said Corey, the owner of On Target Firearms in Webster, New York. 80% or more of the answers we get are delays, which means the state needs more time. A customer comes in wanting to purchase ammo because they want to enjoy their sport, and then I can't transfer the ammo to them, so delays take anywhere from a few minutes to a few days, and customers don't want to wait. The businesses would lose out on the sale of ammunition as well as the sale of anything else in the store relating to renting a lane for shooting purposes. We have lost out on thousands of dollars since this happened in 2023. New York State Police contend that delays happen in fewer than 1% of the ammo background checks, which begs the question, what does the agency consider a delay? If a background check is processed within an hour, is it delayed? What about by the end of the same business day? Corey's estimated figure of 80% may be a little high, but I have no doubt he can tell the difference between the vast majority of checks running smoothly and the vast majority experiencing a problem of some kind. New York State Firearm Association and individual plaintiffs in question have a strong case if they choose to appeal Geraci's dismissal, though I'd be buttressing my previous arguments with declarations from as many gun owners and gun store owners as I could find, even though their testimony shouldn't matter. If the state of New York can't come up with a truly analogous statute circa 1791, maybe 1868, then the law must be struck down. But with judges like Geraci intent on conflating apples and oranges to the benefit of gun control advocates and anti-gun lawmakers, the plaintiffs need to not only explain why these 18th century statutes don't apply, but how today's law preventing New York gun owners from exercising their Second Amendment rights. We kind of figured this was going to happen. And there was even a story when all this started happening with this New York ammo background check, courtesy of the CCIA. We heard this there. If you look for it, you will find it. Like day 2 or 3 of this system being up and running, a judge, literally a judge, got denied. How do you deny a judge? How does that happen? Things got this whole thing, and what does it do? What is this meant to do? Seriously, other than to slow you down from buying ammo? I mean, that was literally my contention when I went to Virginia. I told the wife, I said, okay, you got all these places you want to go to. I want to go to this place. And I went and I bought ammo, didn't have to do a background check. And guess what? I didn't have to pay the extra fee for it as well. California Open Carry says declarations are supposed to be filed in the district court. Okay. So this is so then if this is a district court ruling, well, then we're off to the Second Circuit then. Which is not going to be it's not going to be any better there either. The Second Circuit is just lousy with judges that just they either don't like Bruin, they don't understand Bruin, and are too proud to actually research, or they just hate gun owners. Who knows? I guess we're gonna wait and see. I guess we'll wait. All right, heading down to New Jersey though. Black applicants for New Jersey permits to carry denied more than double whites. I don't know if I'm going to be surprised or not, but let's read this. In March, who is this? John. Oh, okay, John Petrolino. I don't know John, so this is a new one. In March, John reported on New Jersey Attorney General Matthew Platkin's office having released a permit to carry dashboard. The dashboard made publicly available a ton of great data that's worth taking a look at. At the time, there seemed to be some missing data. I submitted an OPRA, New Jersey's equivalent of a Freedom of Information request. Oh, wait, I don't have this set to pop this up whenever it's there. Declarations tend not to carry much weight with appellate courts. Okay, well, there you go. Let's see here. Oop, let's close that up. Dashboard made publicly available a ton of great data that's worth taking a look at. At the time, there seemed to be some missing data. I submitted an OPRA, New Jersey's equivalent of a Freedom of Information Act request, for data that I thought was missing. The Attorney General's office returned to me instructions on how to retrieve the data. Was the data always there from day one? Don't really know, but I was not the only one who noticed this particular data was missing, and that data had to do with the race of permit to carry denials. First, my request seeking missing data from the permit to carry dashboard. Please provide the race, ethnicity of the permit to carry application denials in the state for the post-Bruin timeframe, i.e. X number of whites were denied a permit to carry. Please cover all races, ethnicities that were tracked in regards to applications submitted. As noted, the Attorney General's office gave me the instructions on how to access the data, which the dashboard was noted to have been last updated on April 12th, 2024, and the date of their response was April 24th, 2024, so 12 days later. The Office of the Attorney General is in receipt of your request for the race ethnicity data of the permit to carry application denials in the state for the post-Bruin timeframe. Please be advised that data you have requested is available via the permit to carry dashboard. So, all right. So I guess it was on the dashboard. Maybe it's getting updated on a semi-regular basis, but let's see what John found. I had a chance to look at some of the ethnicity data, and all the numbers were looking at post-Bruin through March 31st, 2024. While the Black population is considered underrepresented in applications, with 11.6 applicants being Black and New Jersey's Black population being listed as 13.1%, I'm still impressed with those numbers. The deviation is a little over 1 point, and that percentage point represents the shattering of the narrative that Black population is not interested in law-abiding gun ownership. Yeah, we've kind of seen that. When you look at the number of new gun owners and how many of them are Black Americans, that number keeps going up. And then I believe the other one is women. The other group is women. Well, not a race, obviously. There's a lot more gun owners coming into the fold who hopefully have been paying attention to what's been going on in regards to some of the laws that are happening not only in New Jersey here and in New York and California. Hopefully they're seeing it and they're kind of thinking to themselves, they're getting the impression it's not as easy to get a gun as what they keep telling me. Because then all it takes is just a few more instances of, hey, wait a minute. That's not what they said. Then we're off to the races. On the other hand, whites also are underrepresented, but that number does not include white, including Hispanic, Spanish origin. There is a separate Hispanic or Latino demographic. To complicate things further, 53.8% applicants were just white, not including Hispanic, Spanish whites. The white population of New Jersey is noted to be 55%. Where things start to get startling is when we look at the denial data. Oh, here we go. 0.53% of white applications were denied, with 52 denied under, quote, public health, safety, and welfare. Contrast that to Black denials. 1.3% of Black applications were denied, with 26 denied under public health, safety, and welfare again, the quote unquote. Black applicants are denied getting issued permits to carry in New Jersey at a rate of more than double that of whites. I'm not saying that this is racist. There's nothing here to basically say that that this is something going on that's racist. We can't. I mean, you can circumstantially you can say it, but you can't say it for certain. There's nothing here that points to that directly. We're making a guess. But when other circumstances come into play, it starts to look a lot more stronger of an argument. Sherman set the Wayback Machine to, just recently after the Bruin decision came out in 2022. We had a New Jersey legislature, congressman, I believe, or assemblyman. I think they have an assembly, who asked a representative in New Jersey. I can't remember the names, but he made reference to certain areas of his district that were high in crime and were primarily populated by black people. And he asked the Pro 2A representative, do you really want to put guns in those areas, knowing what we know? Or something to that effect. I mean, I'm paraphrasing. I don't quite remember, so you might want to look it up and not take my word for it for sure. But that was the general gist that most people got from that. But again, I can't remember the exact words, so take it with a grain of salt. Maybe check it out and double check it. But that's the impression I remember getting from it when seeing this story up. So now you have to wonder, when you see this and then after that, you kind of start, there's a couple of pieces there that are kind of starting to fit together. Not enough to make a full puzzle, but it's definitely, you're definitely able to make out somebody's eye or nose if it's a portrait. But then again, some of their reasoning, I'm betting, is not quite up to snuff. So let's keep going here. Looking closer at the public health, safety, and welfare standard, we have more shocking data. Whites were denied 0.27% of the time under these subjective standards, with blacks being denied 0.6% of the time. That's also more than double. 2.2 times more blacks are denied permits to carry over whites under this subjective standard, which the Supreme Court said, no. You must be objective. You can't use a subjective standard. I extensively covered the public health, safety, and welfare standard back in March. As a recap, this standard is unconstitutional because it allows issuing authorities to use subjective standards to deny applicants the issuance of permits to carry. Seeing blacks having this standard used as a denial criteria more than double that of whites should raise eyebrows. Why is there such a racial disparity? Much of our so-called gun control laws come well after the time of our founding, are not rooted in the text, and are only of the history and tradition of a time when those in power wanted to keep firearms from blacks. He's talking about Reconstruction. In post-bellum U.S., jurisdictions did everything they could to keep freed slaves from being able to take up arms. And then we get the Ku Klux Klan, we get all the crazies come out of the woodwork down south. All the crazy people with crazy eyes. The practice of keeping blacks disarmed continued throughout our history in different jurisdictions and states. Permitting laws were established in particular to target the black population. New Jersey is still clearly executing potentially racist practices when seeing who may or may not be armed. These statistics should alarm everyone. I agree. We should be looking closer at this. We should be. And when did Reagan in California? I'm willing to bet California open carry can tell me this. I bet as soon as I said Reagan, you understood. When did Reagan sign into law the gun control when the Panthers freaked everybody out when they showed up in Sacramento? Or was it San Francisco City Hall? I can't remember where it was in Cali, but the Panthers, a group of Panthers with their firearms, they were perfectly legal, open carry, perfectly legal. They freaked people out, and California passed gun control. I believe Reagan was the governor at the time and signed it. So it's not that long ago that we still saw that kind of thing. Not very long at all. I believe it was, I want to say, was it like 68 maybe? July 67 in Sacramento. Okay. CLC, I knew you would know. I knew you would know. Thank you for being in the chat and being able to pull that up quick. Thank you. July 1967. So I wasn't off. I was a year off, but it was Sacramento. And everybody freaked out. Meanwhile, what was it, 2023, 2022? Maybe it was 2023. You have a large group of black men marched in Michigan to the Michigan Capitol. I'm surprised Gretchen Whitmer didn't flip out. But then again, who says that she hasn't already? But let's be honest here. Let's be honest. This kind of stuff if you think there isn't racism in the United States, yeah, to what extent? I think it's on life support. And I think certain people are keeping it alive for the usual reasons. Like with politicians, if you solve a problem, I should say, if the politician solves a problem, then they have nothing to campaign on, nothing to raise money for. Same thing with pharma. If you cure a patient, you lose a customer. Let me know down in the show notes, I should say in the comments, let me know what you think. What do you think about this? So now we've just seen two instances here in New Jersey against black people, and then here in New York, citing a discriminatory law against Catholics. I gotta wonder. And then we see what's going on college campuses. We're seeing a rise in anti-Semitism in 2024. The world has gone to hell in a handbasket. This is why you should be stacking up, I guess. Get ready. Get out of the big cities. That's what I like to say. CLC says that was a Saturday. So there's hardly anybody probably at the State House then. I'm guessing it was at the State House. Probably hardly anybody there since it was a Saturday back in 67. They didn't work weekends as much as they do nowadays. I'm guessing July 28th, it was kind of out of session for the California legislature. So there really wasn't a lot of people there. But they pissed off somebody. Then Ronald Reagan signed a law. So a lot of people. Oh, it was a Friday. Okay, never mind. It was a Friday, he says. Still, a lot of people check out on a Friday, but okay. But I mean, if you say, and I'm going to make this plainly clear, in my opinion, and this is also the opinion from others that I have talked to, not necessarily white people, but black people, that systemic racism in this country is not a thing. There was a press conference when it was signed. Oh, okay. I'm sure we can find that video on YouTube. But like I'm saying, keep your eye on the ball, because racism is not gone. We're seeing it all. We're seeing it. You know, they don't like white people. They subtly don't like black people, it seems, because they're trying to revert everything back to before the Civil Rights Act in regards to segregation. But hey, it's pretty glaringly obvious they're telegraphing this stuff. But maybe that could be like a whole episode. Maybe that could be like a Friday episode or something. All right. But all right, let's get away from New Jersey. Let's head on over to the OttermanEmpire.creator-spring.com, our merch store. Make sure you check that out. We've got some great stuff over there. Would love for you to have a look. See if you like something. We got stickers, we got t-shirts, we got hoodies, we got sweatshirts. We even got ladies fitness stuff over there as well. So go check it out. OttermanEmpire.creator-spring.com. Great stuff for gifts, great for the kids. I'm telling you right now, there's this great purple colored shirt that I'm going to get my daughter. And it's the same shade of purple she loves. We've got some pink stuff over there because, there's girls that like otters too, So you should go check it out. OttermanEmpire.creator-spring.com. Everything you purchase goes towards this channel as well as the gaming channel. It's going to help support subscriptions for more content, codes for games to be able to play on the gaming channel, hardware, and even helping to build the studio. Another thing you can also do is you can always subscribe right here on Rumble. There's always that. But head on over, OttermanEmpire.creator-spring.com. See if there's something you like there. All right, saw this one today. We're heading down to the Big Easy. New Orleans officials lose bid to carve out French Quarter from constitutional carry law. When Louisiana constitutional carry law takes effect on July 4th, legal gun owners will be able to carry in New Orleans French Quarter, though it could cost them quite a bit of money if they decide to mix alcohol and their Second Amendment rights. New Orleans officials have been seeking various carve-outs to the constitutional carry law, at times suggesting the entire city should be exempt from the new law. A proposal from Republican Representative Kirk Talbot would have required a concealed carry license for those bearing arms in the quarter and throughout much of the downtown business district. Wow, man, I can't talk. But after coming under pressure from 2A groups, Talbot has revised his legislation and removed the offending language. Let's go back here really quick. Late in life, the author of the bill, Don Mulford, said he did not understand why people called him a racist because he had always supported aid for blacks because they are incapable of bettering themselves on their own. Well, that makes all more sense, Don. The Mulford Act. Now it all comes back to me. They couldn't better themselves on their own. So we got to give them a hand up. You all know the two biggest lies out there, right? The two biggest lies in the universe. First lie, number one, I'm from the government. I'm here to help you. That's the biggest lie. Lie number two, cover your ears, kids. I promise not to come in your mouth. That's the second biggest lie. All right. The proposal, let's see, the carve out on his bill now is that fines are for negligent carrying of a firearm in the French Quarter, including while intoxicated, would be increased from $500 up to $1,000. His bill, SB 419, passed the Senate Committee on Local and Municipal Affairs on a 4-2 vote. Talbot said he still hopes to address police concerns over the new concealed carry law's impact on the Vuxkari as it moves forward. I have no clue how to pronounce that, so I probably mangled it. Sorry. I voted for every pro-gun Second Amendment bill there ever has been, Talbot said. It's about safety and about police. You're going to have more criminals walking around with guns, and I can tell you this, beware if you go to the French Quarter. Okay. Just because you support every single Second Amendment bill out there doesn't mean you get the benefit of the doubt. You should be supporting those because that's what the Constitution says. The right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. If you would like, we can get a sign interpreter for you. We can do ASL if you need it. Is there another language that you speak? We can make it happen. But then again, how many Republicans out there claim they're 2A yet are not? They just play the part to get them votes, to get that campaign money. Money, 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 money. That's what it is. Going on, it says, no offense to Talbot, but that's been the case for my entire life. I first visited New Orleans back in college, and while my memories of that spring break trip are hazy, thanks to a combination of the passage of time and the ungodly amount of booze I poured down my gullet that week, I vividly recall being warned from a resident not to walk down a particular street that led away from the touristy part of the quarter late one night because there were some fellows looking to jump and rob the next drunk tourist who stumbled across them. If I were to visit today, I'd gladly trade my ability to down a hurricane or two while walking on Bourbon Street for the ability to carry a handgun in self-defense. New Orleans is a fun city, but it's never been particularly safe. That's all the more reason why there shouldn't be a constitutional carry carve-out. We have the right to armed self-defense, and that right isn't negated just because criminals may be carrying too. That is the point of constitutional carry. That is the point of the Second Amendment as well. Well, I would say an adjacent point, because the primary point, obviously, is defend ourselves against a tyrannical government. But self-defense is definitely a legitimate reason to exercise your Second Amendment right. So, not sure why you would not want to be strapped if you're going into a bad part of town. Now, the reason why you go into the bad part of town, that could be that could be something for a discussion. You may not have a choice. You may have to go to that part of town for something. Whether it's, friend or family member, the car broke down, you need medication, and the particular pharmacy in that part of town has it while the others are out of stock. There's a bunch of valid reasons that you would have to go into a bad part of town. Do people like going into the bad part of town? Well, unless you're a superhero, my guess is no. But then again, we don't live in the Marvel 616 universe. Spider-Man is not swinging from the buildings. The Hulk is not out in New Mexico somewhere busting up tanks. Captain America is not somewhere in Europe on a covert operation. That's not the world we live in. So we do have the right to protect ourselves, but for some reason, some people don't want us to. You have to ask the reason. You have to ask why. Why do they not want us to be able to protect ourselves? Gun rights groups came out against Talbot's original bill, which had included a French Quarter carve-out and also proposed barring concealed firearms without a permit at school or pro-sporting events statewide. On Wednesday, they attacked his substitute bill as redundant, calling it a misguided effort to treat some gun owners differently. They pointed to a provision in the new permitless concealed carry law that will allow police to continue to stop and question someone suspected of carrying a concealed gun while intoxicated, and also requires them to notify law enforcement when approached. Gun rights advocates still objected to a provision in Talbot's revised bill that upped the stakes for those caught drinking and packing. Kelby Senior, state director of the National Rifle Association, argued the French Quarter was not so unique when it comes to guns and alcohol. Senior pointed to other cities with entertainment districts that allow open carry of alcohol in states with permitless carry of firearms that haven't created carve-outs. We're already trying to repeal back parts of constitutional carry without even letting the law go into effect, Senior said. Well, good for you, NRA. Welcome to the party. I'm sorry, I'm still bitter about the whole NRA thing. I know. We talked about this Friday. We talked about the new quote unquote reformers that got elected to the board. We'll see what happens. I'm willing to give them a chance. If anything, America is great with second chances. We'll see what happens with these guys. But still, they're a little late to the party, I think. I understand the desire to let the bill take effect before lawmakers start offering tweaks, but I also don't think it's fair to call increasing the existing penalty for carrying while intoxicated from $500 to $1,000 a carve-out, or to suggest that it somehow represents a partial repeal of the new constitutional carry law. Like it or not, there's already a law in place fining folks for negligently carrying a firearm. Increasing the penalty in the French Quarter, known worldwide for its debauchery and drunken revelry, will be premature and unnecessary. Still, it's also far less oppressive than requiring a carry license or turning the Quarter into a gun-free zone, which is what some New Orleans officials have demanded, and it's likely to withstand a legal challenge. When Talbot introduced his bill, I suggested that he needs to face a primary opponent the next time he's up for re-election. Based on his most recent comments, I still believe that's a good idea. He's made it pretty clear that if he had his way, he wouldn't have gutted his legislation to remove the real carve-outs to the new constitutional carry law. His constituents should have a choice between someone who will stand up for their Second Amendment rights and someone who seems to merely pay lip service to them. I agree. I think this Talbot guy has shown he's shown his real colors. He's taken off the mask. I hope he gets primaried. I really do. I hope he loses. I really do. That's doing a disservice to the people that, you voted for constitutional carry, right? You said you supported it. Now all of a sudden, yeah, that just raises too many red flags for me. I think he should face a primary. I think his primary opponent should ask him about this. And I think his constituent, okay, you know who I mean. They should be asking too. I think that's the best way to go with this. So we'll see what happens. All right, let's move on to our next story. This is one that COC is going to probably be talking a lot on. And you know what, COC? I think you follow me on Twitter or X. Shoot me a DM when you get a minute. Let's set up a time. Let's set up a day and a time for you to come on the show. And we can have this conversation about open carry. I think that would be a wonderful conversation. Now, to make my stance on open carry known, full disclosure, I am not against open carry. I am not. Is it practical for me? I don't think so. Even if New York State offered open carry, I would have to say it's not for me. But I have no reason. I have no reason to say somebody else should not open carry if that's an option that's available and then that's their choice. I really don't. So I just wanted to get that out there. I am pro open carry, but it is just not for me. I'm going to exercise my right to just say I'm not going to do it. I'm happy with concealed carry, but I'm also not gonna not try to protect it. That's open carry, concealed carry doesn't matter. That it's we should be able to have that right, to have that decision. The subject of open carry is those in the gun community that will likely never be resolved. Yeah. This is like the Ford versus Chevy arguments. Back in my day, when I was a kid, the Commodore versus Apple computer arguments, or the Commodore, Apple, IBM, or, whichever computer. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. People have strong opinions on it, to be sure. Those opinions are typically discussed in a fashion only slightly less aggressive than 9mm Parabellum versus 45 ACP. I'm not pissing off the 1911 guys. Slightly. And while we tend to talk more about gun politics of late, it's not because Cam and I, nor any other contributors, aren't gun people. We carry, shoot, and definitely have opinions on this topic. and many others. Let's understand this is not about the right to open carry. In my view, that right is as sacrosanct as the right to keep and bear arms itself. Nothing in the Second Amendment says that the manner in which someone chooses to bear arms. But over at Shooting News Weekly, my friend Kate Ainsworth Stevens, kicked over the proverbial anthill when she took up the topic of open carry. I'm guessing Kat woke up and said, I choose violence. That's my guess. There's always seemed to be a lot of fuss over what may be considered the perfect everyday carry gun. The go-to gun tends to change over time, ranging from the Glock 26 to the Ruger LCP and the SIG P365. People tend to follow trends, and guns and gun guys are no different. Haven't we all checked out or bought a new gun because so-and-so ran it so well that dude over there had one and it looked so sweet? Don't lie. You have. Yeah, I have too. I've looked at, I'm kind of salivating over the P365. So many people have the 365. So that may be the one for me. I don't know. Well, next time I take a trip down to the FFL, we'll see. And once you've acquired that perfect carry gun, you have to, carry it out of the waistband or in the waistband, AIWB or strong side hip, open carry or concealed carry. Opinions and arguments go on endlessly, but I'm here to end it once and for all. Open carry is stupid. There, easy, right? Oh, Cat. Oh, Cat. Holy cow, Cat. What did you do? What did you do, girl? You did not. Yeah, she did. If you know Cat, you know how on brand this actually is for her. She's opinionated. As the son of an opinionated woman, I honestly mean that as a compliment. She doesn't shy away from saying what she thinks. But is she right? It's a fair question and apparently needs to be reiterated that she's not commenting on the right to open carry, but the wisdom of doing so. There is a difference, and some people seem to think that if you're a fan of open carry in general, then you're anti-open carry. You're not a fan, you're anti-open carry. That's not necessarily true, though it may be accurate in some cases. In Cat, it ain't. Anyways, she shows her work, so we can look and see if she's right. Okay. I don't know. Should I do that? I'm going to, yeah. Before you start going on about my rights, allow me to explain. There's really nothing I love more than a good rant. Many years ago, there was a time I attended gun right rallies and run errands with my gun. Back then, usually a Glock openly carried on my hip. It was amusing how the guys in Starbucks in Olympia, Washington got irritated. Somehow, the average person totally failed to understand it was my right. Obviously, that was in an era that predates the advent of the Evergreen State's current rapidly anti-gun climate. The last gun rights rally I attended was an attempt to halt the progress of I-594, a bill I now see as the beginning of the end of that state, but I digress. Open carrying at rallies or the store when it was wholly unnecessary was immature, reckless, and flat out stupid. I didn't open carry at the I-594 rally, so it's not appropriate. So it's sort of appropriate. It was my last Washington State gun rights protest. Okay, I can keep going here. I'm not sure I can agree with this universally. For example, at the 2A Freedom Fest in Florida, I openly carried. I was camping at the time, and under Florida law, I could lawfully carry openly while many attendees couldn't. That's something I disagreed with, so I opted to open carry. Plus, this was an event that was for the 2A community, not one open to scrutiny from the normies or anything, so there was no people to intimidate or scare. I think that in a case like that, open carry is perfectly fine. When it's it's when you start openly carrying out in the actual public, you have to start worrying. And I'm going to say something that will piss some of you off, but carrying guns to protest is a dumb idea, at least most of the time. Remember, people carrying guns to anti-lockdown protests, they did it lawfully, but the story suddenly became about the armed mass of angry people and not what they were angry about. Carrying openly was colossally stupid. Stevens credits her training with people like Marty Hayes and Masayub, who with changing her mind on open carry. But what is her mind on open carry exactly? We know she doesn't like it, but why? From a tactical standpoint, open carry is unwise. There are a lot of guys who will argue that having a visible firearm serves as a deterrent. Mr. Bad Dude, they reason, will see the gun and think twice about messing with insert location here. However, Mr. Bad Dude is just as likely to see dude with visible weapon as the first target to take out. That or Bad Dude might think, hey, a freebie, and proceed to take that gun. Ask me how many hardcore open carriers have proper handgun retention training. When you conceal your gun, you take any potential weapons-based target off your back. You stop looking at a loot drop. You stop looking like a loot drop, and you retain the element of surprise. Here, I'm in total agreement with Cap. Yeah, I got to agree with her on that, and that's part of the reason why I think that open carry is not a good idea for me. Now, I have to admit, I don't really have a lot of training with open carry in regards to retention and all that. So I'm guessing there are a lot of things you can do to mitigate all of these scenarios. But I still feel it's not for me. Which is to say that I can't make that call for anybody else. It's still up to the individual. Now, with that said, there are a ton of examples of that actually happening, but I don't know what we have examples of bad guys walking away from a potentially violent crime because some random person was openly carrying a firearm. And I figure she's completely right about handgun retention training. I'll freely admit it's a deficit in my skill set, and I suspect it's a deficit in most others. Raising my hand. Then there's this. Aside from that, concealed carry is a fantastic way to move through society unnoticed. No, I'm not going to go into a gray man rant. I'm just saying there's never a good reason to draw unnecessary attention to yourself. There's no need for the swagger, flash, and perceived ego stroke of an open carry handgun with your local grocery store. You can at least grab a light cover garment, guys. It isn't that difficult. Even better, concealed carry is legally easier than ever now, thanks to the fact that permitless carry is now a thing in more than half the country. Ideally, you're going to have some sort of training beyond a random state mandated class, which we all know is woefully inadequate before you carry a gun at all. But that's not the reality of things. The reality is more gun owners don't bother to train than do. COC says, you know what? Let me bring it back up while I read it. Okay, come on. There we go. Why? The two reasons she gives is cowardice and concealment gives her a secret advantage, which is immoral. Okay. I can't. I mean, the immoral thing, I don't know. That one I haven't really thought about. That's a new take for me. I'll give you that one. That's kind of a new take. But again, I leave it up to the individual myself. It's not right for me, but I have no problem with the individual if they choose to do so. But let's keep going here. This is, of course, true. One reason I tend to support unlicensed open carry, particularly in non-constitutional carry states, is that it allows people who are waiting on a permit to carry in the meantime. We can all agree that having a gun is better than not. So openly carrying because that's what's available is better than not carrying because you can do it concealed. And again, I think people have a right to carry openly, even if I'm with Kat on the fact that it's unwise. While I won't do yet another block quote, she also points out how open carry doesn't really advance our rights. It just makes people who might be willing to listen uncomfortable. And while I'm not sure I agree it does nothing, one could make the case that seeing a lot of lawful citizens carrying guns openly would normalize carrying guns, thus removing some of the fear of guns in general. She's definitely right, and that making potential allies uncomfortable can be a problem. COC says Heller referred to it as secret advantage and unmanly assassination. Oh, okay. I could see that point of it. I could definitely see that point of it. But I do have to say that I kind of feel like if you are going to open carry, I don't know. This may be controversial. I don't know. Whatever you think, tell me in the comments down below, or I'm sure COC is going to tell me what he thinks. So my thinking is, if you do open carry, and this is how I would do it, but obviously you don't have to. If I was to open carry, I would actually kind of dress business casual while I have it on my hip. Because here's the thinking. Here's my rationale and my thinking. You walk into a place, you're open carrying, you're wearing your blue jeans and your t-shirt, your AC/DC t-shirt, that kind of thing. Perfectly acceptable anywhere else, even if you weren't carrying. Perfectly acceptable. But I kind of tend to think that when they see the gun, they kind of look at you kind of weird because of the way you're dressed. And I could be totally wrong. I don't know if anybody's ever tried this to see if there is a difference. But going out looking like you're business casual, like khakis, maybe a polo shirt, something like that, while you're open carrying. I'd love to know what the difference is because of the perception of how you're dressed. That's how I would do it. If I was open carrying, I would actually look kind of business casual. And I do wear a lot of khakis anyway. So I would wear khakis and a decent shirt. Obviously, and that's how I personally would do it myself. But I would love to see, I would love to see somebody do it both ways. You go out and you're like your street clothes, your blue jeans, your t-shirt, whatever, whatever you're wearing, open carrying, and kind of see what people think. I'm kind of curious what the difference would be between your quote unquote street clothes and say a business casual look. Just curious. I maybe I'm thinking differently on this. I just think the perception of what you look like when you open carry adds something to it. I don't know. COC says the legalization of concealed carry is relatively recent. It has been the tradition in history in the United States that concealed carry is an act of moral turpitude. Yeah, I remember that argument. I remember that argument that open carry was considered the norm, whereas concealed carry was kind of devious. You're up to no good. If you're concealed carrying your pistol, you're up to no good. But nowadays, unfortunately, thanks to the media, the entertainment industry, you see a gun, you just automatically assume, right? That's my thinking on the whole street clothes versus you picking up what I'm putting down? You smelling what I'm cooking here? That's what I'm kind of going about. But what are your thoughts? Let me know down in the comments below. I'd love to read what you think. Definitely. All right, last story for the night. This one, this is the one that's very interesting to me. San Diego County files lawsuit against Defense Distributed. Defense Distributed, obviously, being one of the first people to come up with designs for 3D printed guns. The Defender there? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, let's get in on this because I got some thoughts on this. Well, there's been a whole lot of whining and wringing of your hands and all that so-called ghost guns. The truth of the matter is that they're a small minority of the total number of firearms found in criminal hands. What's more, the genie is out of the bottle on those. People who want to make their own guns illegally can and will because the information is out there. We've all heard it. You can't stop the signal, Mal. It's out there. Case in point. Sherman set your Wayback Machine to about, 1998, 99, somewhere in that range. DVDs. Now, wait a minute. DVDs. This is where it all comes down to. DVDs. So DVDs were relatively new. DVD drives were coming out for computers. And so were burners. DVD burners. I know we're getting back in time, but follow me here. Stay with me. So back then, and even today, DVDs and Blu-ray discs have encryption keys on them in order to protect the content on them. Digital rights management. Now, back then, you couldn't play the DVDs on unsupported devices. You also couldn't copy them to make backups, to make archives, which under copyright law does allow you to do, to make archives, an archival copy of content that you have purchased, legally purchased. So I go out, I buy a copy of There's Something About Mary on DVD, and I put it into my Sony DVD player, and it plays just fine. Yet when I put it into my computer, in my DVD drive that I just got, oh no, the DVD software I have doesn't have the proper key, or it's set to the wrong region for whatever reason. That's another thing. Region locks. There's region locks on all those discs. Comes forth the hacker community. There's some really good guys out there in the hacker community that know their stuff. You've seen them. You've heard about them at DEF CON. That's the hacker conference that takes place in Las Vegas. These are the guys that basically the CIA, the NSA, the FBI, all the alphabet agencies recruit from. These are where the white hat hackers get together, and they share the exploits that are out there. They show you the holes in the security so that governments and individuals, people like us, can better defend ourselves from the meanies that are on the internet that want to steal your data, that want to take over your data center and turn it into a bot farm, or whatever else they want to do. Or even, God forbid, enemy nations, China, North Korea, Iran. You picking up what I'm putting down here? Well, back in 1998, 97, somewhere in that range, the hacker community finally figured out how to get the key. It seems that on some disks, somebody didn't encrypt the key properly. So they figured it out, they reversed it, they got the key, and then the genie was out of the bottle. It was done. It was out there. Needless to say, open source software came out that allowed you to be able to watch your DVDs, copy your DVDs, burn your DVDs, and the world was changed. Now enter the Motion Picture Association. They started suing all these groups, sending cease and desist letters, basically playing whack-a-mole. We've seen it 100 times. Nowadays, we've seen it. But this is where it all started, the whack-a-mole. Well, they finally managed to get somebody into court. And whoever their lawyer was, this is pretty crazy. And the EFF, the Electronic Frontier Foundation, they're you know, that all that information is still up on the EFF's website, although the EFF is pretty much they've gone from Rage Against the Machine to Rage for the Machine. But the EFF basically helped back the defense of these hackers. What ended up happening was the hackers won. And one of the decisions by the court was it was on First Amendment grounds because the code that they created was considered speech. Now, in order to make these 3D printed guns, are you following me here? Is essentially code. The design, the numbers, the design elements, everything, it's essentially code. You change the numbers, you change the meaning of the code, you basically get something totally different. Needless to say, while the MPAA was trying to stop all these people from sharing the DVD key, they played whack-a-mole. And that's what's going on right now. There are so many physical files out there for 3D printed guns. Whatever you do, don't go to thegatalog.com. Do not go to the catalog. Do not go to odyssey.com. You'll be totally disappointed. But needless to say, those files are out there. They have been out there. And newer technology has come out to be able to share those files. You don't need just a website. You can do it via BitTorrent. You got a VPN and a BitTorrent client? All you need is that magnet file, baby. That magnet file is not very long at all. You could send a magnet file in a text message. It's that small. Yeah. So those files, they're out there. There are files out there for 30-round capacity magazines for Glocks and for a whole bunch of other types of guns. There's complete firearm physicals out there. AR-15s, AK-47s, MP5s. That MP5, baby. Slap that bolt like I slap my wife's booty. Yeah, it's out there. And these guys, San Diego is basically, they're opening up a can of Streisand effect. It's not going to happen. They can, even if they win against Defense Distributed, there are so many files out there now. And there's so many people working on it. Not to mention the fact they're going to have to try to beat that precedent that was set back in 98. They might be able to. I don't know. Maybe they got smarter lawyers. Who knows? But the fact of the matter is the genie is out of the bottle. Pandora's box is open. But California, they go on to say, California's more urban areas, the places where the vast majority of the state's gun grabbers reside and rule, still think they can stop bad people from doing bad things with a few laws. And when everyone tries to get around those laws, well, they get ornery about it, which is what led to a new lawsuit. The County of San Diego and National Gun Safety Group Gifford Law Center have partnered on a lawsuit against Defense Distributed, a gun manufacturing company. The county claims the company did a bait and switch on an already banned product. They are profiting on death and they need to be held accountable, said County Supervisor Vice Chair Tara Lawson-Remmer. Well, this ought to be good. But this is about hardware. So we'll have to see how this works out. Not quite sure. Maybe this might fall under the whole 80% thing, the ATF rule. Who knows? Although I don't know. I don't think so. This may be something new. That's not what bait and switch means, though. Bait and switch is when you're offering a particular product at a low price as a means of getting someone into your store only for the product to not be there. Instead, there's a competing product available at a higher price. The goal is to get people to buy the more expensive item. That's not what's happening here. But the term bait and switch is pretty well known among people, but poorly understood. As such, they use it to make it seem like what Defense Distributed did is even more nefarious. Yet using the term improperly isn't that much different than what they're alleging Defense Distributed did, if we're being honest. The county is suing the company over one of their ghost gun manufacturing machines. Lawson-Remmer said in 2022, the county council voted to bring lawsuits against ghost gun manufacturers. And we are not going to be looking the other way. We are going to come after you, Lawson-Remmer said. The lawsuit filed this week alleges that for years, Defense Distributed sold a machine called the Ghost Gunner, which allowed users to build ghost guns, otherwise known as illegal, untraceable, and unserialized guns. But instead of actually discontinuing the distribution, manufacturing of death, wow, dramatic. Did she go to Juilliard? They instead rebranded it, Lawson-Remmer said. The Ghost Gunner became the Coast Runner. The suit claims it is the same machine with a new coat of paint. It's a CNC machine. It's a small CNC machine. You can literally buy cheapy CNC machines for like $200 on Amazon. Will it work that well for building a gun? I don't know. I've never tried it. 3D printing is usually what most people use. The thing is, there's no law against rebranding your product. What's more, the law that effectively banned the Ghost Gunner in California didn't seem to mention it by name, meaning a rebrand isn't a way to get around the ban. Officials claim that Defense Distributed marketed the Ghost Runner at a gun show in Las Vegas, which apparently prompted the lawsuit. Maybe it's just me, but this is absolute nonsense. Unless Ghost Runner have been found in San Diego County and there's evidence they were shipped there illegally, then there's no evidence Defense Distributed did anything against the law. And there's nothing in this report to suggest they've done any such thing. I've looked at other reports and there's nothing there either. What's happening instead is that they're suing someone based exclusively on their fear that Defense Distributed might sell it to someone in the county. This is a vexuous lawsuit and should be dismissed by the courts almost immediately, especially since under Bruin, the original Ghost Gunner should be perfectly legal. So we're dealing with hardware, but the files are still out there for 3D printing. Could it be any different for hardware? We'll have to wait and see, but still, there is a good point there. If none of those devices have been sold and sent to somebody in San Diego County or any place else that is saying that they can't be sent to, well then, guess what? No law was broken. So how can you sue? I mean, I get it. You can be very litigious and just sue anybody for whatever, but you'll probably either get laughed out of court or chastised by the judge, or just, you may just smack you upside the head too. Still, it's out there. Those files are out there. You don't necessarily need that device. You can buy a cheapy CNC for $200 that you can use to make smaller parts. Probably. I'd love to see somebody try doing that. I want to see that kind of thing. I want to see how that would work, because we know 3D printed guns, they've come a long way since the Defender. This guy right here, this one right here, he's holding. They've come a long, long way. So this would be interesting, but I don't see how San Diego's going to get anywhere with this. Even if they win in court, I don't think they're going to get very far. I wouldn't be surprised if they end up settling out of court and nothing really happens to Defense Distributed. But we will see, because that's all we got to go with right now. But my call is, they ain't going to be able to do jack at all. What's your thoughts? Tell me what you're thinking. Go on down in the comments down below. Let me know what you're thinking about it. Let me know about all the cases that we talked about. New York tossing out the case for ammo background checks. How about the black applicant denial rate in New Jersey for concealed carry? How about New Orleans trying to do a constitutional carry carve out in the Big Easy? And your thoughts on open carry? Tell us what you think. Do you open carry? What do you think about it? Tell us in the comments. And then, of course, San Diego's lawsuit against Defense Distributed. Think it's going to go anywhere? Yeah. That's pretty much it. Meh. That's what I got for you. Thanks for watching tonight. Make sure you check out the merch store. Don't forget, head on over to ottomanempire.creator-spring.com. Check out what we got. When you purchase something, it supports not only this show, but the Ottoman Gaming Empire channel, and helps with content and hardware and building the studio and the two-way community that we are trying to build. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Discord in the show notes. Join our two-way community. And like I said, leave a comment. Even if you just say hi, I'll be happy. Next show is going to be Wednesday night, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. In the meantime, keep your head on a swivel and act accordingly. See ya!